So Baltimore Ravens general manager Eric Decosta just made a very bold statement on the Baltimore Ravens pass rushers in 2025 and breaks down the players in the edge room as well as what they think of Mike Green, who they just drafted in the second round. We also have a specific sack forecast for the edge rushers in this year's draft class, including Mike Green, and I think you might be surprised. We got a position battle on our hands in this upcoming training camp, and OTAs just starting in a few weeks. Fox Sports released their Super Bowl odds, and the Baltimore Ravens ranked pretty darn high on it. Plus, we got an update on Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum with their fifth-year options, man, and much more. So welcome into another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy, Noah, here with For the Flock. As always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Baltimore Ravens today. Let's dive into the content. At number 1, the Baltimore Ravens are second in the NFL power ranking from the NFL themselves, putting out their power rankings post-draft. They went from number 3 to number 2 after this year's draft. And on Fox Super Bowl odds, the Baltimore Ravens have the second best odds in the National Football League to win the Super Bowl in 2025. That's telling you what the league and betting agencies think of the Baltimore Ravens. Already coming back with most of their roster, not a lot of losses in free agency, but then also added some other guys like DeAndre Hopkins in free agency, Chidobe Awuzie, and then absolutely hit a home run with a draft, adding Malachi Starks and Mike Green with their first 2 picks, man, and other upgrades as well. Derrick Henry returning, second year of defensive coordinator Zach Orr, third year of offensive coordinator Todd Monken, plus Chuck Pagano being added to the coaching staff, plus the safety coach from Kansas City. People see the type of damage that the Baltimore Ravens can do this year. I already called my shot that they'll have a minimum of 12 wins if they're relatively healthy in 2025. But at number 2, some roster transactions in the future of some key players that the Baltimore Ravens crushed with their draft selections just a few years ago. That, if you can remember, they grabbed Tyler Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton in the same draft. 2 all-pro type of players that are, franchise-changing cornerstones, one on offense, one on defense. The 5th-year option decision had to be made. They did pick up the 5th-year option for Kyle Hamilton, and they said they're looking to lock him up long-term on a long-term deal. They did not pick up Tyler Linderbaum, the center. They did not pick up his 5th-year option because his 5th-year option as a center is lumped in at the same price tag as the tackles that make like $10 million more per year than the centers and in the guards as well. So they said, however, they're looking to keep Tyler Linderbaum here in Baltimore long term. They're just not picking up that 5th-year option due to simple, salary cap, roster maneuvering reasons. At number 3, I want you guys to take a listen about what Eric Decosta thinks about this pass rush. He said, hey, I know some people are talking, whatever. Last time I checked, we were second in the NFL in sacks last season. All of our guys are returning at that position, and some of them are still improving and developing. He mentioned David Ojabo, who's really hungry going into a contract year. Odafe Owe, who's been getting better each year, finally broke double-digit sacks this last season. He also talked about how for some players, it could take a year or 2, 3 years, 4 years for them to really get it. Development is a real thing, especially for pass rushers trying to figure out how to set up offensive tackles, how to feel, rushing the passer, scheme stuff as well. So sometimes it takes a little bit with some of these players, and he's excited not only about the developmental guys, but like the Calvin Noise. And then he also talked about Mike Green, and he really went in on his thoughts about Mike Green and how he fits here with the Baltimore Ravens. Here's what he had to say.
And I've heard people that might say, well, the Ravens don't have a true number 1 pass rusher. And yet, I think we finished second last year in the league in sacks. And our whole room is back. So you look at Kyle Van Noy and what he's done in 2 seasons. Great player. Plays like a Raven. Tough, smart, polished. Rushes the passer. Can do all the different things. He's a leader. Odafe, double-digit sacks last year, right? Just continues to grow every single year. Having a great offseason. Expect huge things from him. Tavius is another guy. Tavius was a 4th-round pick. And he's like a real physical. He's a Raven. I mean, the way that guy plays, he fits us. Ajabo has overcome injuries. Still a very, very talented player. He's so hungry right now. I expect big things from him. It's right there for him. And then Adisa last year. So Adisa comes in. He's one of our higher players that we rated in the third round. We get him last year. Had some soft tissue things, had some injuries. Kind of had his first season derailed a little bit by that. But again, like Adisa, when you think about that, it's like getting an additional draft pick this year. Mm-hmm. And then you take Mike Green, you put him in the mix. We got 6 really good, intriguing football players at Sam and rush linebacker.
Mm-hmm. If I had told you at the start of the draft that you would get him in the second round, would you have thought that that was a possibility?
Probably not. I mean, let's face it. There were allegations made that on Mike that he had to answer to, and work that teams had to do, and we knew that going in. It wasn't like in the fall we didn't know that there were some issues with Mike, and but as a player, watching him as a player. One of my favorite players this year. Like, I think we do have a good idea what it takes to rush the passer in the NFL. And we've had a lot of really good players over the years as pass rushers. And Mike is just well-schooled. His technique, he's got a variety of moves, explosive off the football, tenacious player. He's stronger than he looks. I mean, this is a guy who can knock you back and set the edge and do those kind of things. He can drop and play in space. He's lightning quick on the backside, knifing down. He can beat tackles. He can do anything you want a guy to do. He can do it. And so, it wasn't like we weren't surprised by how good he was, because starting out in September of last year, he was one of the top-rated players on our board. And so we spent...
Even before he played the season?
Well, as we got into the season,
Mm-hmm.
His tape was just so impressive that we got as much information as we could. We talked to as many people as we could. We sent in multiple area scouts. We got information from Virginia. We got information from Marshall. We talked to people in his hometown. I mean, we basically did as much as we could. And in the end, we made the decision to pick him. And we're excited about him as a player. We think he's going to flourish here with us. We think we have a great scheme for him to be his very best, and we think he's going to have a great career with us.
So with Mike Green, he says tenacious. He can do anything you want a player to do. He said the tape was so impressive, one of the top-rated players on our board since September. He also said that he's going to flourish here in Baltimore, and he believes he's going to have a great career with the Ravens. He also talked about how deep they went into the investigations with the off the field stuff, sending scouts to Marshall, to Virginia Tech, also, back to hometown and the whole 9 yards, man. They really did their homework, and they also had a long interview with Mike Green to get to know him personally. But then he talks about the excitement for David Ajabo, and he talks about Owe, and he even talks about Tavius Robinson, how he's a physical player that plays like a Raven. Then he talked about the excitement of Adisa Isaac, who really didn't get on the field much last year because of soft tissue injuries. And suddenly, you have a pretty deep edge room that can really rotate and let the cream rise to the top, man. But I think Mike Green is going to be one of those guys consistently getting on the field as a third down pass rusher. The excitement of the possibility of having Mike Green, Dafe Owe, Matabike, and a Kyle Van Noy in like a NASCAR package, or a Travis Jones, Matabike, Mike Green, Van Noy, Owe. I don't know, man. The possibilities and the rotation there is really fun to look at. Maybe even Tavius Robinson, who can rush as an interior guy as well, who can hold up. He's big and strong and also has the pass rush moves. And then you got Chuck Smith coaching all these guys specifically, how to win one-on-one. And the second year of defensive coordinator Zach Orton, suddenly you're looking at a defense that could be very, very potent in 2025. It was very good towards the second half of the season last year, but now we're expecting it to get off to a hot start, right? Where you're not having those new coordinator lumps and miscommunication issues in the secondary. There's going to be a couple issues here and there, of course, early in the season. Players gel together, they grow together, they see what teams put out on tape. But I expect this defense to get off to a much hotter start, and that'll help the Ravens as a whole get off to a hotter start. Remember, starting 0-2 was not fun. Losing to the Chiefs, with the Isaiah Likely toe on the line. Then we had the Raiders loss, which was sloppy and ugly, missed field goals, penalties, turnovers. But if you remember after that last season, the Baltimore Ravens rattled off 5 straight wins. A statement win, beat the Cowboys, then demolished the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football with a big statement game, then beat the Bengals in overtime, then beat the Commanders, who were a really good team, then beat the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, with the passing game exploding in all of these games, especially against the Bengals, Commanders, and Bucks. But then, dropped a stinker versus the Browns, dropped some interceptions, missed some field goals, right? The following 2 weeks, they beat the brakes off the Broncos 41-10, and then beat the Bengals again. Swept the Bengals, man, that felt good. Dropped a stinker to the Steelers, beat the Chargers handedly, dropped a stinker to the Eagles, beat the Giants, beat the Steelers, beat the Texans on Christmas, demolished the Browns, and then beat the Steelers in the wild card round. Fell short to the Buffalo Bills. We saw what happened. Dropped a stinker there. Allowing the Bills to score 27 points was too much, especially the fact that they only had like 250 yards or something of offense, and we had like 400 and something. They played well situationally. We had some bad penalties. We made some awful turnovers. Lamar threw that pick. Lamar fumbled. Mark Andrews fumbled. Mark Andrews also dropped the 2-point conversion. It just wasn't a clean game, for the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm expecting the defense to provide a higher floor and ceiling for the Baltimore Ravens in 2025 to really be a complete Super Bowl type of roster and team that's battle-tested, that's experienced, that has a great coaching staff, and also has players that are now experienced with winning and losing in the postseason. A great mix of veteran guys and young guys. That's why the Baltimore Ravens have the second best odds in the NFL to win the Super Bowl in 2025. At number 4, what's really interesting here is there was a sack forecast done by all of the top edge rushers in this year's draft class. They take in last year's production, they take in, even 2023 stats, draft status, all that stuff, and they put it into a formula, and they have Mike Green with 13 sacks. If Mike Green had 13 sacks, I would be absolutely ecstatic, man. I think the floor for a guy like Mike Green, if he's on the field consistently, is 7 or 8 sacks. It's funny because, on Twitter, someone was like, hey, what do you realistically think the numbers are for Mike Green, like as a pass rusher? And, I'm being silly, but I was like, yeah, 46.5 sacks, easy. The floor is obviously like 30 if we're being modest, right? But obviously if Mike Green hit double-digit sacks his rookie year, I'd be ecstatic, man. I saw someone say that, hey, this could be the next like franchise-defining edge rusher that the Baltimore Ravens haven't had since Terrell Suggs. That would be a home run second-round pick, if you ask me. The Baltimore Ravens were named in the top 4 teams in the NFL that have improved through the draft this year, listed here with a couple of other teams, including the Cardinals and the Raiders. At number 5, one interesting battle I wanted to kind of preview and give you a little taste of is the cornerback battle upcoming here very soon. TJ Tampa, 4th-round selection from last year. The Ravens really like his game. He showed some good things in training camp, dealt with some injuries. All right, Chidobe Awuzie, John Harbaugh says he expects him to be a starter, especially if he's healthy. Heading in, he's about almost 2 years removed from his major injury. So, he battled with the Titans last year, had some ups and downs, was about middle of the pack average when it comes to coverage. But when he's healthy and playing his best football, this guy's really competitive, Chidobe Awuzie, and was a great defender for the Bengals for a couple years there. And he's not even 30 yet. So there's still some meat left on the bone there if we can have him healthy as a above average corner. Jalen Armour-Davis, a guy that has played really well and put some good things on film when he's been healthy, but has been dealing with injuries. So all 3 of these corners have dealt with injuries recently. TJ Tampa, Awuzie, and Jalen Armour-Davis. There's going to be a big battle. It might be just like survival of the fittest, last one standing. Like, you got to be available in order to compete. So one of those guys is probably going to start outside, opposite of Nate Wiggins, while Marlon Humphrey probably plays in the slot again, because John Harbaugh said there's no better player in the slot than Marlon Humphrey. And you saw that last year. He was one of the highest graded corners, all-pro type of player. And his 2 best seasons were in 2019 and 2024, where he was primarily in the slot. So I'm really excited for this corner battle, man. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think about this pass rush and how potent it can be in 2025, man. Smash the like button if you got any value out of today's content. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ray, when he wasn't looking, he ran me over.